Koutou katoa, I'm Alison Pask, Executive Director of ANA, and it's a great pleasure to be hosting today's webinar. This is our first webinar for 2021, and I'd like to take this opportunity to wish you all a very happy, healthy, and safe new year ahead. Today we welcome Jo Duffy from the Heart Foundation, and she'll be sharing details of Tohu Manawa Ora, which is the Heart Foundation's Healthy Heart Award program in early learning centres. This program was established in the early 2000s, and it helps early learning child centres to build an environment which promotes healthy eating and physical activity. Today's webinar is being recorded, and you'll be able to re-watch it again later, probably in about a week's time, from the ANA's website. We encourage you today to use the question box at the bottom of the screen, and we'll have time to answer those questions at the end of the webinar today. If not, then Jo has very kindly agreed to answer your questions if she's able to, and we'll get back to you afterwards. So, kia ora, Jo. We look forward very much to hearing more about how this program has evolved over the last 20 or so years.
Kia ora, Alison, and kia ora koutou to everybody who's joined today. I'll just share my screen because I've got a presentation to share with you. Can everybody see that? Yeah, perfect. So tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Ke te ako tonu o ki te kōrero te reo Māori. No o te puti o ko Duffy tōku whānau. Ko Jo tōku ingoa ke te Heart Foundation o e mahi ana. Ka nui ki te mihi, kia koutou. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. My name is Jo Duffy, and I work in the prevention team at the Heart Foundation. I'm based in our Dunedin office, and I'm looking forward to sharing some of our work with early learning services with you today. So in New Zealand, heart disease is responsible for the loss of 6,000 lives every year, or roughly one person every 90 minutes. Many of these are preventable. Our vision at the Heart Foundation is to provide hearts fit for life, and our mission is to stop all people in New Zealand dying prematurely from heart disease, and also enable those with heart disease to live full lives. The Heart Foundation started in 1968 and works within our communities, providing care and support to those people and their families impacted by heart disease. We know heart disease risk starts very early, and good nutrition and physical activity in the early years can have a significant impact in reducing the risk of this disease and others later in life. Our prevention team work across several age groups and in a variety of settings to affect change and enable people to make heart-healthy choices in their everyday lives. In addition, the Heart Foundation is New Zealand's leading independent funder of heart research. So with the generous support of our donors, we've invested more than $78 million into heart research since our inception. So we've got quite a bit of history in the education sector. We've been working in schools and with caterers for 30 years, supporting with canteen menus, healthy eating education, policies, and implementation. We provide resources, professional development, and also more recently, our work in schools has involved delivering the Food for Thought program in partnership with Foodstuffs. Tohu Manawa Ora, our Healthy Heart Award program, has been in early learning services for 19 years now. I'll share more about this program as we move through the presentation today. Our programs and work have evolved considerably over the years and will continue to evolve this year as we look to roll out our e-learning project and shift to new platforms for some of our work. Most of our programs are largely funded by the Ministry of Health in the education sector, with a contribution from the Heart Foundation donors as well. So our prevention team is actually much bigger than this, but this is, well, these are all our nutrition advisors across New Zealand. So we work with schools and early learning services all the way from Invercargill up to Kaitaia. If you know of any schools or early learning services that need support with healthy eating or physical activity, then you can get in touch with your local nutrition advisor. All our contact details are on the Heart Foundation website. So I guess the big question that's probably quite topical at the moment is, why worry about nutrition and physical activity in under 5s? So 1 in 3 children in New Zealand are overweight or obese. All children should have the same chances to thrive and be healthy regardless of where they live. And we have seen significant changes in the health of our tamariki over the last 20 years. Obesity is the result of an interaction between people and their environment. And the early years are a really critical period of child development. This is where we can create many opportunities for children to thrive and learn behaviours that will support them as they grow into adulthood, such as the enjoyment and the skills that they need to be active, as well as learning to eat and having a healthy relationship with food. This is a really important part of their development, all these things that we just take for granted as being able to do. And that healthy relationship with food also involves being supported to recognise hunger and satiety cues, as well as be exposed to a wide variety of foods that are appropriate for their developmental stage. Early childhood is a key setting in order to achieve this for our tamariki. For early learning services, this is a really good opportunity to provide fair access to an environment that provides and promotes healthy food options, as well as the space and equipment for children to run, explore, and play. As mentioned, some behaviours and habits developed in early life can increase the risk of heart disease and other diseases later in life. Making healthy eating and physical activity priorities in an early learning environment can provide lifelong benefits for our tamariki. Healthy eating provides the energy, vitamins, minerals, and other essential nutrients required for a vast range of functions as part of healthy development. While movement, discovery, and play supports the development of gross and fine motor skills, which are essential for children as they develop school readiness, for bone and muscle development as they grow to be healthy, active adults. So, Tohu Manawa Ora, the Healthy Heart Award. This is our comprehensive program for early learning services. The program is one way in which we provide and promote heart health from an early age. Tohu Manawa Ora is focused on developing environments that support children with healthy eating and to be active. So we strive for a culture where healthy eating and physical activity are naturally woven into everything you learn, share, and celebrate in early learning. The Healthy Heart Award was established in 2002 to help combat childhood obesity. It recognises that the environment in which we live, work, and play impacts on our nutritional and physical well-being, as well as the importance of establishing healthy habits early in life, like I mentioned before. Although it is called an award program, we support early learning services to make lasting changes by integrating healthy eating and physical activity into the planning, philosophy, and culture of a service, so that it naturally becomes a part of everything they do, making it normal, accepted, and joyful even to be active and to choose foods that nourish us. So initially, the Healthy Heart Award had only one award level, but it was recognised that early learning were achieving in different ways and also required different support based on their needs and priorities. The award also started as a paper-based program, and as technology has improved and developed, we've also been able to shift the assessment of the award program online. This means that we've now got an online portal with resources, recipes, and case studies from other early learning services to promote that journey on their road to the Healthy Heart Award. This has allowed us to provide support to a greater number of early learning services, many who are based rurally, and also to support early learning staff to have information at their fingertips. Often there's a lot of priorities for them to juggle, and they have limited non-contact time, which is often in competition for their administration responsibilities, and also lots of other agencies wanting to work with them. Now that we're in 2021, we've had 3 award levels for the Healthy Heart Award for a while now. So we have Rito, Whānau, and Paharakiki. Each award level requires a greater commitment from the staff, and generally the higher the award level, the more input that is required across each strand. Tohu Manawa Ora is based on a whakatauki about the harakiki, which highlights the importance of whakapapa, the connectedness between people, past, present, and future, and the need to nurture new shoots in order to grow the next generation. Each level of the award represents a component of the harakiki metaphor, reflecting a continuous, sustainable, and empowering journey of growth and development from a firm foundation. Rito, the central shoot, the baby or child of the harakiki, represents the beginnings or foundation for change. Whānau, the awhirito or matua parents, and the outer leaves, the tipuna or grandparents, support the development of the rito, the central shoot, and this represents the engagement with the wider community in order to further build on those foundations laid down in the Rito Award. Together, these layers support the continual growth of the paharakiki, a collection of harakiki. This represents a flourishing early learning environment, the impact of which extends beyond the immediate setting, well into the wider community. There's 4 key strands to Tohu Manawa Ora. So policy and governance, which covers those supportive policies and the food provision, healthy menus and lunch boxes, learning and teaching, so how healthy eating and physical activity are included regularly in the curriculum, and also we support the richness and variety of those early learning experience. Collaboration, so sharing the journey and supporting and encouraging families to make small changes or learn of more information that can support their own journeys outside of early learning. And also conversely, bringing that whānau experience and expertise into the early learning service to further enrich learning opportunities for tamariki. Professional development is the last strand. So this looks at upskilling and empowering staff, and also assessing how nutrition and physical activity knowledge acquired by staff is incorporated back into the program or shared with other staff members. What we can offer. So the support provided by our nutrition advisors links back to the key components mentioned before around policy development and implementation, food provision such as lunchbox guidelines and menu development, working with teachers to identify gaps or to provide support in building a plan to address an identified need, and providing professional development, just to name a few. Tohu Manawa Ora strands have been designed to link in with the key principles of Te Whāriki, the early learning curriculum, in order to make it easier to integrate into the curriculum and the daily practice of early learning environments. Achievement of the award provides recognition of the efforts and success of early learning services in making sustainable, positive changes to the eating and activity environment, and also reaching out into the wider community. Best of all, our support is free of charge for early learning services, thanks to the funding from the Ministry of Health and from our Heart Foundation donors. Over the years, we've developed a large range of resources and recipes in a range of languages to support both lunchbox and menu early learning services. These resources are often developed in response to feedback from early learning services and parents, and may also be linked to specific professional development that has been delivered by our staff. So once enrolled, a service has 2 years to work towards their award, and once the award is achieved, it's valid for 2 years. We build relationships with and support services for a sustained period of time, which helps us to be successful in our work. Currently, there are just over 4,800 early learning services in New Zealand. We're working with nearly 800 early learning services, which means we reach over 41,000 children across Aotearoa, and 270 of these early learning services hold a current award. Over the years, we've also worked to develop relationships with some of the larger parent organisations, and this has actually supported changes in their overarching healthy eating and physical activity policies. So every early learning service that comes under that parent organisation has benefited from that change in policy. So in the background, we've also had the program formally evaluated. Most recently, this was done by Melitest in 2014. Almost all early learning staff respondents that had been involved in the award program had developed or improved their healthy eating and physical activity policies and guidelines as a result of doing the program. Families from early learning services with an award were also more likely to know about these policies. We've also found, as a result of that evaluation, that early learning services that were involved in the award program were more likely to report that their nutrition policies increased the number of children who ate healthily. We also found that more than 3/4 of staff respondents from a service with a current award said they had learned more about healthy eating as a result of involvement in the award, and more than half had said that they learned more about physical activity for children. So the evaluation was really helpful for us in that it firmed up that having those policies as living documents within centres is really important in shifting practice. So some of the things that we've seen change are things such as chocolate and pie fundraisers being used, to moving to non-food related things like bike-a-thons or selling reusable bags or calendars with children's artwork on. We also see a more varied educational experience for children around food. So not just preparing food, but also learning about the environment, how food's grown, sustainability, all sorts of things like that. We support centres to celebrate cultural diversity with healthy food and also support menu changes. So Sarah Gerritsen from the University of Auckland found that services engaged with the Healthy Heart Award had considerably better quality menus, nutrition-wise, and often they can be just really small changes that make quite a big difference, say from switching from white to wholemeal bread. We also support staff with their own wellbeing by supporting ongoing learning and giving them greater confidence around their own health as well. I flipped forward a bit too far. Some of the feedback that we've had from staff have been comments such as, "Thank you, you've helped me to feel really inspired again to give this another go. Thank you so much for giving us your time and knowledge with your online PD. It was great to have the whole centre team involved, and this was very beneficial to us all to moving forward to renew our certificate." Also, everyone is feeling motivated to work collaboratively with whānau and is excited about supporting tamariki to create healthy lifestyle habits. We've also recently worked with the Innovation Unit to find ways to improve our responsiveness to Māori. So this has also supported us to consider different ways to approach early learning services and what other priorities may be competing with sort of traditional views of healthy eating within early learning services. This is supporting our approaches in areas where children have more complex needs and early learning services need additional support. We've been working closely with Kids Can recently in the rollout of their support for early learning services. So, Aurora Centre in Otorohanga. So this is a wee case study that I just wanted to share with you about a centre that made some large changes to what they were doing. They did the Rito Healthy Heart Award. Before they enrolled in their award, they were providing the meals. They found that there was lots of wastage as the children didn't eat the food. Their birthday celebrations were commonly celebrated with cakes, with goodie bags, lollies, and all sorts of things like that. We also saw that physical activity was really minimal due to limited indoor activities, and they didn't have a lot of equipment available in their outdoor area. They described it as just a big area of mud. Staff believed that the lack of physical activity resources, no sort of structured physical activity in the curriculum plan, and the children's refusal to eat the food actually caused a lot of behavioural issues for them, and that was really stressful for them. So the staff used a variety of communication methods from the beginning. They openly shared with their whānau about the journey. They used posters, newsletters, emails, texts, learning stories, and conversations. They shifted to food being provided in lunchboxes by the whānau. Initially, they did notice that it was quite unhealthy foods that were being offered, but with the development and effective implementation of a healthy food policy, the staff noticed a really big and positive change in the quality of the food coming in the lunchboxes. So birthday celebrations, they shifted from food such as big cakes, lollipops, goodie bags, to fruit platters and creative healthy versions of birthday cakes and vegetable-based muffins. I'm sorry that little symbol there has gone over the top of the text. They use newsletters to communicate ideas around lunchboxes and put tips and friendly reminders in, and they became a milk and water only centre. Ongoing changes are still being made, such as the planning of mat times to include discussions around healthy food and eating, but also song and dance to develop gross motor skills. They've developed their playground area outside, so they've now got a raft of different physical activity equipment, a sand pit, water play, all sorts of things. And not only have the staff witnessed a big change in the children, but also in the parents' attitudes. So they used a motto of moderation, not elimination. They wanted to not take things away, but redress the balance and support children to experience many ways of celebrating, a bigger variety of different foods, and also strategies to try and find enjoyment in active play. So these are just a couple of quotes. That parents and children really understand and respect this belief of ours around the moderation, not elimination. The Healthy Heart journey has improved the children's behaviour and emotions throughout the day. So the staff are feeling much better about things. So this is where you can go to find more information or to register your interest in the Healthy Heart Award or any of our other support that we're able to offer. Our website has a range of information, tips and recipes for encouraging a heart-healthy diet no matter what your age. So thank you. I'll just work out how to stop sharing the screen.
Kia ora, Jo. Thank you very much for giving us such a comprehensive overview of Tohu Manawa Ora. If people could please start asking some questions, if you do that in the Q&A box. Now, I see there is one hand raised. If you could, instead of raising your hand, jot your question down into the questions and answers, that would be really helpful for us, please. Jo, you probably don't want me to ask this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. And I think if we could have a vote, most people would probably say, I knew what she was going to ask. It's about the choking guidelines that have been introduced for early childhood centres. What's your take on that? And does the Heart Foundation have a comment?
I think it's been a really challenging time for early learning services, not only hearing through the consultation what was going on, but waiting for so long to actually get the results as well. They haven't been given a very long time to implement any changes that we're going to make either. So at the Heart Foundation, we're working through the guidance that's been provided by the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Education, and just seeing where our work fits in with that. So if centres do have questions, they're more than welcome to contact us. But we do also recommend that they go back and look at those guidelines from the Ministry of Health very carefully, and they can contact the Ministry of Education. They have local offices around the country if they need support as well.
Thank you. That's great to hear, because I certainly know there's been a lot of debate and interest over the choking guidelines that I think they must come into play this week, is it?
Yes, yesterday was the change for food provided by services,
Excellent. Keep those questions coming in. We have one here from Elaine Rush. Elaine says, food insecurity is increasing in New Zealand and made worse by COVID and the uncertainty around that. How is the Heart Foundation program adapting to deal with this?
Yeah, that's a really good point, Elaine. It's been a really challenging time for everybody, I think, but definitely for parents with younger children who were already quite vulnerable in that area. So we've been working really closely with Kids Can. We've supported them with their menus and how they're using the food provision for early learning services. We're working with some of the Kids Can centres, and we're looking at how our wood program can fit within that approach as well. It doesn't have to be a one or the other sort of take on things. We're really, committed to looking at the bigger picture for things with early learning services. And that was something that came back through that work with the innovation unit as well. You know, if a service is worried about a child coming to, or several children, in fact, coming to centre without any shoes or not warm enough clothes or no food in their lunchbox, it is really difficult to prioritise healthy eating and physical activity. Sometimes they've got a lot of other things to think about. So we try to look at other ways that they can address those learning opportunities, whether it's through storybooks, if it's through art, or, you know, play out in the playground, so that they can still, you know, address those really key priorities for their children.
Yeah. Thanks, Jo. There's a couple of comments in here just saying how great this program is and how people love the program. So that's good to hear as well. Another question, what are your thoughts on lunchbox notes going back to parents, increasing the stigmatisation to already struggling parents with worries of food insecurity and doing the best they can, but then being made to feel a little bit inadequate?
I think there's been a lot of media attention on notes and lunchboxes over the past couple of years as well. We really do encourage services to talk to their whānau and find, you know, maybe not necessarily address if it's just around the healthiness of a lunchbox item, to not necessarily address that straight away, but to find out a little bit more of the context for that family about what's going on. Is it a pattern? Has it always been like that? Is it something that's happened all of a sudden? Has it changed from normal, or was it just a one-off? You know, so that it's really important that the number one thing is that the relationship between those families and the early learning staff are really positive and strong. So yeah, we try to support services to find different ways so that we can avoid families feeling displaced or stigmatized.
Yeah. It's great that the Heart Foundation offers that service to work alongside the early childhood centres. Fiona's asking, does the program encourage regionally or locally produced food?
Yeah, I mean, where those things are available, we do try to support services to find, providers of food that work best for them. Obviously, there's a lot of priorities for them to juggle too, such as cost, availability of delivery, and things, sometimes there are restrictions on ordering for them placed on them from higher up the chain of command. But yeah, definitely we have worked with a couple of centres who wanted food provided to support curriculum-based activities such as making soup with their tamariki. In Dunedin, we've put them in touch with Kiwi Harvest so that there wasn't extra pressure put on whānau to provide that food in that area. So yeah, definitely we would support services to work with whichever providers would work and with their criteria.
Right, thank you. A couple of questions in here about the importance of working with Pacific. So you mentioned that you're adapting your program to work better with Māori families and early childhood centres where there's a high rate of different ethnicities. Can you just comment about how you might be making sure that it's fit for purpose for Pacific families?
For Pacific families, for sure. We don't have a Māori Ora team with us at the Heart Foundation, so that's why we reached out to work with the Innovation Unit. And we have recently had Katarina Davis come on board to support us in that area as well as a Chief Advisor for Māori. But we do also have a Chief Advisor for Pacific who has come on board recently, and we have a Pacific Heartbeat team. So there has always been quite a lot of input around supporting Pacifica through the Healthy Heart Award by working in collaboration with that team internally. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. Under Fives Energise in the Waikato was working closely with the Heart Foundation and encouraged and supported over 180 early childhood centres to gain Heart Foundation awards. Can you comment on how this, now that this program, the Under 5 Energise program has stopped, how that will affect the Heart Foundation programs in the Waikato?
Yeah, we have actually just brought on a new team member, Jan, who was working with Energise in the Waikato, and she's going to be working with us for at least the next 6 months. I imagine to support that transition, but we're really grateful to have Jan's background with Energise and that relationship with some of those schools and centres that were working on that program.
Excellent. Another cultural question about any Middle Eastern families and resources. Is there any help to help work with these families with dietary needs?
Yeah, we do have specific resources that we use. Some of them aren't necessarily from the Heart Foundation, but to try to support families who have different language and cultural backgrounds as well. If there was something specific that they were after, do feel free to let me know and I can see what we can do from there.
Fabulous. 2 comments here to say how awesome Jan is. So Jan, if you're on board, please have a great pat on the back, and people very pleased to know that you're working with Jan, so that's fabulous. What are your thoughts on teaching children under 5 nutrition concepts such as unhealthy or bad food, considering this type of language instills shame and guilt?
Yes, I think if we can avoid those words, it's definitely a positive in my mind. There's lots of different language that we can use to describe foods, and like they've already identified, it's really important that children grow up with a healthy relationship with food. And I guess like the case study that I use, that moderation, not elimination. So I think calling foods what they are rather than giving them a label is often more helpful. Yeah.
Excellent. And can you think of what an example of what that might be instead?
Well, and I know that in my presentation, I actually probably did say junk food because that's come straight from what they've shared with us. But instead of calling, say, like an iced bun or, chocolate or chips a junk food, just calling them an iced bun, chocolate or chips.
Right. Okay.
Rather than calling them junk food or unhealthy,
Yep. Excellent. Thanks for that example. Question here, 2018, I think it says, the report on the Healthy Heart Award uptake by Māori and Pacific communities. Were any of those recommendations put into place?
Is that the innovation unit report, perhaps? I'm not quite sure.
Not sure.
Yeah, we are working through the recommendations from the work with the innovation unit and from
yes, it was that report. Yeah.
We've obviously, some of the things have not been able to be put in play straight away because there's a wee bit of background work that needs to be done for us, but we have certainly refocused and come together a few times as a national team to look at what we can do in that space to put those into play.
Excellent. I'm just wondering if this person may have missed our discussion on choking, but I'll read the question out anyway. Does your team have a plan to update resources based on the new nutrition and choking guidelines? We find your resources very valuable, but currently not aligned with the Ministry of Health.
Yeah. So what happened was that we updated our resources in order to be current with the Ministry of Health guidelines that were relevant for at home. And then we were waiting for the results of the consultation before we were able to reassess and look again. So we will be looking at those things. But unfortunately, we have only received the information at the same time as the early learning services. So that's something that we'll be working on. Yeah.
Great. And do the change in serving sizes affect any of your resources?
So I think they more look not at serving sizes, but at the preparation size.
Right.
So making sure that things are chopped to specific or diced to specific diameters, I think they've got, or widths and things. So not necessarily to what we would recommend as a portion, but maybe to how our pictures depict things have been prepared.
Yeah, and I think we're still waiting on some Ministry of Health guidelines to come out, aren't we? Are there some more?
A toolbox which should be coming. I imagine that hopefully it will come at a similar time to the toolbox that will be coming for healthy active learning. Hopefully it's all kind of encompassed in the same toolkit. Yeah.
Okay, and do you know how long we might be waiting for that?
Unfortunately, I don't. I think they were talking about sort of mid last year to October time, but obviously with COVID, there has been significant delays within the Ministry of Health because I imagine people have been redeployed and things like that.
Yeah, because I think there's some guidelines for children. Was it 0 to 2s or was it?
Yeah, they have looked at the maternal and infant nutrition, I think. Yeah, they had just released some changes to the adult guidelines as well at the end of last year.
Excellent. So it's all about cooperating and collaborating and working together
Really
from
is.
many, many different perspectives, isn't it?
Yeah.
Jo, it's been wonderful listening to your update on the Healthy Heart Awards. You're working with over 800 early learning childhood services. So that's a mighty lot of people and centres to be working with, to have a huge impact on people's physical activity and health. Great to see encouraging of non-food fundraising ideas there. Those chocolate fundraisers really are quite a challenge for those of us working in health that don't necessarily want to be promoting those chocolates in order for the centre to have money to continue to do the great work that they're doing. Thank you so much for giving us today's update, and we wish you a very healthy and happy new year. For those of you that this is your first webinar, we have a range of webinars coming up for the rest of the next 6 months. Keep an eye out in our newsletters and on our website, and we look forward to you joining in next week. We've got the Heart Foundation here again, and we've got Dave Munro joining us next week, so we look forward to hearing what he has to say. Kia ora and ka kite anō.
Cool, ka kite. Thanks, Alison.
Thanks, Jo. Right, let's. Thanks so much. See you later.
Oh, it's okay. Thank you. Bye.